The Last Breath with Labubu. Every horror tale begins with a warning, but no warning can prepare you for Labubu. They call him the thief of sorrow, the shadow in the dark, and the last thing you'll ever hear before silence takes you forever. This is the story of those who met their last breath with Labubu. It all began in a quiet town, where whispers of Labubu floated like smoke through every home. Parents told their children, "Don't stay out after midnight. Don't follow the crying in the dark. And whatever you do, don't let him hear you breathe." No one knew what Labubu truly was. Some said a child who died abandoned in the cold. Others said a spirit born from grief. But everyone agreed on one thing. When Labubu finds you, he waits for your last breath. The most haunting story was about a boy named Zayan. He was 16. Full of arrogance, and mocked the old legends. One night he walked home late through the silent streets. To prove his bravery, he stopped at the abandoned warehouse, known as one of Labubu's favorite haunts. Inside, the air was thick, stale, heavy. The silence felt wrong. He called out, "Labubu, if you're real, show yourself." And the answer came. A giggle, soft, childlike, echoing through the empty halls. Zayan laughed nervously. "Just rats," he muttered, but then he heard it again, closer this time, a whisper brushing his ear. "I'm here." He spun around but saw nothing, just shadows stretching unnaturally long. He tried to leave, but every step forward seemed to bring him back to the same corner. Panic rose in his chest. His breathing grew louder, faster, and that's when he realized that's what Labubu was waiting for. The giggle turned into laughter, and in the broken glass of a shattered window, Zayan saw him. A small figure, wide, glowing eyes, a mouth stretched into a jagged grin filled with needle-like teeth. Labubu leaned close, not in the room, but in the reflection. "Breathe for me," he whispered. Zayan gasped, and that was his last breath. By morning, the townsfolk found him lying in the warehouse. His body had no wounds, no signs of struggle, only wide, tear-stained eyes frozen in terror. From that day, the villagers swore Labubu feeds not on flesh, but on breath. He waits until you are consumed by fear, until you can no longer control the panic, until your last desperate gasp escapes your lungs. That's when he takes you. There were other stories, too. A woman walking home at midnight heard crying in the alley. She bent down, thinking it was a child. The figure lifted its head. It wasn't a child at all. She felt a cold hand on her chest, pressing against her lungs. She couldn't breathe. Her last scream never left her mouth. They found her the next morning, her face twisted, as if she'd died mid-sob. A traveler claimed he saw Labubu on the side of the road, hitching a ride. Against every warning, he stopped. When the figure got in, the air inside the car grew icy. The man said he felt his chest tighten, his breath growing shallow. He tried to shout, but no sound came. By the time he pulled over, his vision went black. He woke hours later in an empty car, alone, but never quite the same. He could still hear faint giggles in his ear every time he took a deep breath. They say Labubu doesn't chase you. He waits. He waits in silence, in shadows, in corners of rooms. You won't see him clearly, not until it's too late. You'll hear him in the laughter that doesn't belong, in the crying that makes your chest tighten, in the whisper that follows every inhale. And when he knows you're afraid, he draws closer, slowly, patiently, until the weight on your chest grows unbearable, until your breaths come shorter, sharper, until fear itself steals your air. That final gasp, the moment between life and death, that's what Labubu takes. That is why they call it the last breath with Labubu. I didn't believe any of this, until the night it happened to me. I was lying in bed, half asleep. The room was quiet, but I woke to a sound, a soft giggle. At first, I thought it was a dream, but then I heard it again, closer. My chest felt heavy. The air around me grew cold. I opened my eyes, and there he was. Not in front of me, not fully visible, just a reflection in the dark screen of my phone beside the bed. Glowing eyes, a jagged grin, watching, waiting. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. My breath grew shallow, ragged. I knew if I gasped, if I gave him that last breath, it would be over. So I held it in, tears streaming down my face. I don't know how long it lasted. Minutes? Hours? All I know is, when I finally passed out from exhaustion, he was still there, smiling in the dark. And that's the curse. Once Labubu finds you, he never leaves. He doesn't need to chase you. He just waits, patient, until the day fear takes your last breath. So if you ever hear laughter in the silence, if you ever feel the weight on your chest at night, if your breaths grow shallow for no reason, be careful, because it might already be too late. That could be your last breath with Labubu.